Hi students, good luck on the test. I just want to say a couple of quick words of wisdom for you. Please make sure that you double check your answers. This is not as hard a test as it may seem. If you don't double check your answers, it could really get you big time. So calculate twice, please. And if you get an answer, if you get a fraction, double check carefully to see if you can reduce that fraction. If they're asking for the answer to something, make sure that you see if you can reduce it. Now, if they're just looking for a missing piece, you don't have to worry about that. A missing numerator, a piece of a fraction, that's different. But when you have to give an answer and you're giving an entire fraction and they want it in simplest form, then go through your divisibility rules slowly. Ask yourself, does 2 go into both the numerator and the denominator? Does 3, does 4, does 5? Don't forget 6 and 7. Divide 7 into it. So make sure you double check your work carefully. Don't get stuck on a problem. If you get stuck on it, please circle it and go to the other problems first. Don't spend an inordinate time on one problem. Now let me just show you something real quickly also, and then I'm going to let you get on to your test. Real quickly, just a quick example of ordering fractions from least to greatest or greatest to least. If they have different denominators, you know that you need common denominators. So in this case, I've got 7/9, 5/6, and 2/3, and I need a common denominator. So I'm going to look at each of these denominators, and I'm going to find a common multiple, a number that they all can go into. The first common multiple I can come up with, I'm going to start with my larger number, and I'm going to do the multiples of 9 to see if I can get to one pretty quickly. 9, 18, well, there you go. 18 is a multiple that 9, 6, and 3 will share. So I'm going to put that down as my multiple they have in common, and I'm going to change all of my fractions to an equivalent fraction using 18ths as a new denominator. So I'm going to have to decide, what did I do to 9 to get to 18? That was times 2, so 7 times 2 is 14. And then 6 times 3 was 18, so 5 times 3 is 18. So that, I'm sorry, 5 times 3 is 15. Did I really say that? And then 3, how did I go from 3 to 18? That was times 6. Times 6, that's 12. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look, since I had greatest to least, I'm going to make sure I write down G to L so I don't forget. And I'm going to look for my greatest fraction. Well, 15/18 was, but that's not what they asked. They asked out of these fractions up here, which one is the greatest? Well, since these two belong together, it's 5/6 is my greatest. And 14/18 is the next. So 7/9 is the next largest fraction, and then 12/18 is the last, and that went with 2/3, and that's the last. Okay, so we got that, and two other quick notes here. If I came across some fractions that really had nasty denominators, I would first look and see if there's anything I can look at or see that might be easy for me. And in this case, I noticed that 7/8, my numerators one away from my denominator. 15/16, same thing, one away from my denominator. 3/4, one away from the denominator. When that happens, let's look at what that means. When you have 3/4, and it's only one away from that denominator, well, this is the size of that 3/4. Let's look at 15/16. And this is the size of 15/16, right? So the larger the numbers when they're one away from one another, the larger the piece. The smaller the numbers, the smaller the piece. In other words, the larger the leftover. So you can draw that out if you notice something like that. And then one more. If we have the same numerator going across, if you have something like 3/4 and 3/16, let's look at how that looks. Well, here's 3/4 and here's 3/16. So this one, 3/4, the 3 and the 4 are closer to each other. They're just one away from each other. But the 3/16 is nowhere near each other. That's way less than 50%. That's a small fraction of this piece. So when you have the same numerator, and the denominators are different, the larger one is going to be the one that's closer to each other. So 3/4 would be the closest, 3/8 would be the next largest, and of course 3/16 is far away from each other, and that would be the smallest. Okay, I hope you have a piece of paper and pencil and something to cover your work, and you may get started. Thanks.